I'm going to teach you how you could fix your shoulder pain without doing any shoulder exercises. What's up, Dr. Nick here. So in today's video, we're going to be going over how you could fix your shoulder pain without doing any shoulder exercises. And in order to do that, we have to look at the back, the upper back, or the thoracic spine. Why? Because our shoulder lives on the upper back, or the back of the rib cage, the thoracic spine. Now, our shoulder, which is the shoulder blade, and then the humerus bone. Now, depending on how well our thoracic spine moves, that's going to dictate also how well the shoulder can move. We need our shoulder to our shoulder blade to upwardly rotate the shoulder blade right here and tilt backwards. Now, why is this so important? Because if there's lack of mobility in the upper back or a kyphotic posture, the shoulder blade can't function as well as it can, which then leads to shoulder issues and dysfunction. So for an example, the thoracic spine, if it's in a kyphotic posture or a rounded position, which is usually a result of sitting all day, things that relate to a lot of flexion-based activities, it contributes to a rounded position. So now if we take this model, we think about it, the rib cage is down or in a kyphotic position, the shoulder blade is going to be tilted forward. So for an example, if I'm like this and I'm slouched over, I have a rounded position in my upper back, if I go to raise my arm up, my shoulder blade can't tilt backwards because my upper back or my thoracic spine can't move. So I'll be stuck and restricted. Versus if I had good mobility in my upper back, I'll be able to extend and my arm will go up higher because then this has the ability to actually tilt backwards. Now in the spine, we have coupled motions. The spine flexes, it extends, and it also rotates. So we're gonna do a test to see if you lack this motion. We're gonna be doing a rotational test, but if it's limited, it can give you some insight that you also lack some flexion or extension mobility, and you have to work on this range of motion to ultimately improve spine mobility to then ultimately help the shoulder. So the test you're gonna do is get on your hands and your knees, and you're gonna rock your glutes all the way down to your heels. From here, forearms go together, cross one arm, and then rotate up towards the ceiling as far as you got, and stop when you feel restricted, like you can't go any further. And a good idea is to actually film yourself doing it so that you can actually screenshot it and see where you're at in terms of your mobility. Some things to be on the lookout for this is when you're going to rotate, don't compensate through the motion by leaning like so, which would then just be a compensation through the motion. You want to focus on just the spine actually rotating up as far as you can. So compensation one, don't lean, and then two, with the arm, don't just move your shoulder like this to fake the range of motion. You want to get nice and stiff and stable and just focus on the spine actually rotating up as far as you got, and stop when you feel like you can't go any further before you're going to have to lean and compensate. This will give you a good indication of where you're at in terms of mobility. We're looking for anywhere from that 45 to 60 degree range of motion as you rotate up. So let's get into the exercises, focusing on the thoracic spine to actually fix shoulder issues. So this exercise is T-spine extension. Now it's not getting on a foam roller and just rolling up and down. You want to take the foam roller and place it on your upper back. Now from here, your abs have to stay nice and stiff, so when you go over the foam roller like this to mobilize the upper back, you're not just compensating and arching from the low back. So the setup is upper back, hands behind the head, elbows are placed forward. Then from here, you want to think about rainbowing effect over the foam roller, just using your thoracic spine or just using your upper back. Abs stay stiff, I rainbow over, I get over pressure, and I'm feeling a nice pressure sensation to the upper back. I hold that, I also feel my abs on, and then I come back. What this does, this little subtle motion, is create the necessary mobility to actually mobilize the upper back if it's stiff and tight. Now, a common mistake that I see all the time is just arching excessively over like this, which a lot of the motion is actually just coming from the low back. So abs have to stay nice and stiff. You just arch over just a little bit, and as you're doing it, mind-body connection to visualize actually going over the foam roller with the upper back and mobilizing to get more motion to the T-spine. Hey, real quick, if you're enjoying this content, I would really appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel right now, real quick. It really helps out with the channel, and I really, really do appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button. Let's get back to the content. Next up is using some band for biofeedback to actually mobilize the segments of the upper back. So we're getting a band. We're going to be placing it right on segments where we feel the most stiff. Right here, it's going to be just on my upper back. Now from here, I want to rock my glutes back to my heels so that my low back stays locked down. I'm not compensating through the motion. Now the band gives me feedback where I'm gonna then think about the band pulling me into extension like this, and then I'm gonna go out against the band like that. So I'm moving into flexion and then extension right like that. Flexion and extension. And I'm just help mobilizing the upper back in this case, and I'm rocked back so that the motion doesn't come from my low back. Versus if I was like this, I could just be arching from my low back and not really addressing the upper back, which is really the primary area that gets stiff and tight with these shoulder issues. So we go butt to heels, band feedback, and we're just gonna move into extension and flexion. And you wanna have a good mind-body connection through this to actually mobilize the segments of the upper back. So those exercises worked on extension. Now to work on the rotation piece in the thoracic spine, we want to get a foam roller and squeeze it. That will help actually stabilize the pelvis so that we're not actually moving and compensating throughout this. So we're going to cross our arms like this with our elbows up like this. From here, our abs stay stiff. You want to think about like almost two cylinders. Like here's a cylinder and here's a cylinder. This one stays stiff and we're going to be moving the upper one. So from here, I stay stiff on my abs, squeeze the foam roller, and then from here, I'm gonna rotate as far as I got until I feel stuck and I can't go any further before I just start to shift from my pelvis. So I'm gonna go from here, I stay stiff, I rotate right around there, I feel stiff and I can't go any further, and then I can rotate to the other side. Now you'll probably feel one side being more stiff than the other, but that's what you kind of want to have a mind-body connection into. If you feel more stiff on one way, you could work more into that particular position so that you're getting more mobility throughout this. So I rotate, and I'm just going to be mobilizing into rotation. Now the key with this though, when we're thinking about moving into rotation, is making sure we're not compensating from the pelvis, where we're keeping nice and stiff factors at the legs, squeezing the foam roller, but then also keeping in mind not just to move the arms when you rotate. You want to think about these being locked out and they don't move, and you're just moving the upper back to actually rotate. So like a steel bar going through your spine, and you're swiveling on that steel bar going through your spine so that you're actually improving rotation throughout this. If this is too easy, you can make it a lot harder by putting your arms behind your head and then rotating like so. That will create a lot more challenge throughout the exercise, but you want to get more specific with this and make sure you're working on the actual rotation piece in the thoracic spine. So hopefully this video gave you some insight and why it's so important that we can't just focus on the shoulder itself to actually get out of shoulder pain. And we have to focus on other areas such as the thoracic spine that we went over in this video. So hopefully you enjoyed it, and if you did, I would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button, like the content, turn on your post notifications so you never miss a video when it comes out. Also, if you're interested in learning more about how to get rid of your aches and pains, flexibility issues that are just getting in the way of doing what you want, or maybe making you afraid to do what you want because of pain worsening, there's a link below that you can schedule your free discovery call with me or my team to hop on the call. It's completely risk-free. There's no cost associated with it. There's no selling on the call. It's just to learn a little bit more about what's going on with you and see what strategies that you might need to start to implement and a roadmap that you can start to follow to actually get the results you're looking for. If you are interested in actually scheduling that, again, the link below, schedule it, and hopefully you'll talk to me or to my team members to actually get you going in the right direction. So again, this is it for today, and I hope this content was enjoyable and you learned something throughout this video.